This is a beginner-friendly guide to buying night vision. Repeat, this is a beginner-friendly guide. First, who am I to tell you how to do anything? Am I an expert night vision vendor or a tactical special forces operator with deployments in Afghanistan? No, I'm just a regular guy. That's who this video is exactly for. This video is an introductory guide for the first time night vision consumer, having been one myself. Why night vision? Well, it's literally a superpower that you can buy. You know, the first time I looked through nods, I was like, whoa, I feel powerful. I can see you, but you can't see me. And that's a hard feeling to describe. To see a spectrum that's been invisible to my human eye previously. It's kind of like seeing for the first time. And there's other valid reasons to justify the cost of night vision, because it is very expensive. But if you think about it, what hobby isn't? If you think about photography, how expensive is it to go golfing? You got to buy clubs, have a membership, go travel, country clubs. It really just comes down to your priorities and what you value. Maybe you're in an isolated rural area and you have property that you need to keep an eye on. Maybe you like LARPing with friends. But for me, personally, I don't have friends. So the main reason, and the only reason I need to buy night vision, is because I can. So the first thing we need to cover is the technology of night vision. There are 3 generations of night vision. And what I mean by generations of night vision, I'm referring to the intensifier tube, or I'll just call it the tube. And that is the actual technology that allows you to see at night. How night vision works is that you look through this tube, and this tube intensifies ambient light. Even with night vision, you need some light, but a little bit goes a long way. Generation 1 night vision sucks. It's better to just use a flashlight. You can buy Gen 1 night vision off of Amazon for like $100 and you get what you pay for. It's trash. It's not really usable for anything other than seeing what you already are able to see, but in green. Gen 2 is a significant update, but still I would say do not bother. There's something that is referred to as Gen 2 Plus, and this is typically referring to Photonis tubes. From what I understand, these are European-made night vision tubes that are in white phosphor, which I'll come back to. And these are considered by many to be the absolute bare minimum to entering the world of modern night vision. I have personally found Photonis tubes to be serviceable, and the difference between a Photonis tube, a Gen 2 Plus tube, and a Gen 3 tube can be significant depending on lighting conditions. They just generally don't perform as well as a Gen 3 tube. Finally, you have Gen 3 tubes. The main players currently when it comes to Gen 3 tubes are Elbit and L3 Harris. Most recently, Elbit released a line of commercially available Gen 3 tubes called XLSH. These are very good tubes for the money and they are very popular. L3 tubes are the absolute top of the line tubes. So, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 2 Plus, Gen 3, those are your options. Get Gen 3 if possible, Gen 2 Plus if that's really all that you can afford. So you've probably already noticed night vision comes in 2 different colors, green phosphor and white phosphor. The amount of money it costs to manufacture these 2 different flavors of tubes is similar. However, white phosphor or the bluish night vision is going to cost more because of supply and demand, because it is generally accepted to be easier on the eyes and reduce eye fatigue after prolonged night vision use. But at the end of the day, there's not really a difference in performance. It's really just a color preference. And I'll admit, white phosphor looks like Mountain Dew Baja Blast night vision, which is very cool, and modern professional night vision users are all moving towards white phosphor. But the money that I could be saving choosing green tubes, and you can save quite a bit, can go towards better performing tubes, and I personally will take that all day long. In the end, this is just a preference to the individual. So a thing to keep in mind is that every tube is unique. No 2 tubes are exactly the same. When you purchase night vision, every tube comes with a spec sheet. And what a spec sheet is data about the performance of the tube. So there are a few values in the spec sheet that's important to be paying attention to. So the values that really impact the image quality is going to be resolution, which is typically 64/72, and signal to noise ratio, which is basically how well the tube can perform, and figure of merit or FOM, which is essentially signal to noise ratio value times the resolution. Basically, you want these values, FOM, resolution, signal to noise ratio, as high as possible. And then there's EBI and halo. EBI is how well the tube can perform under low lighting conditions. Halo is the blooming that happens when you look at light. So you want EBI and halo to be as low as possible. How much do specs matter? Well, it depends on you. How much do they matter to you? Every bit that a tube is higher performing is every dollar more you're going to be paying. So another thing to keep in mind is when you look through a tube, there are 3 different zones, zones 1, 2, and 3. The most of the time, you're going to be looking through zone 1. That's where the image quality is going to be the cleanest. And when it comes to intensifier tubes, spots are a natural part of the manufacturing process. Maybe a bit annoying, but it doesn't really affect performance. But if you can, try to avoid getting spots in zone 1. It's more forgiving to get spots in zone 2 or 3. Blemishes are what happens when you damage your tubes. And you can damage your tubes by looking at intense light for too long. It really depends on a multitude of factors, but mainly whenever there is light, you want to keep your tubes away as much as you possibly can. There is no perfect night vision for everyone. The perfect night vision would be GPN VGs, which are like the Lamborghini of night vision, for $20 instead of $40,000, which is how much they usually retail for. And even this GPN VGs, the top of the line night vision, is not for everyone and has some cons. That is why purchasing night vision is a very personal experience tailored to every individual, and it doesn't hurt to be as well informed as possible about night vision before making your first purchase. Now that you got a basic idea of how tubes work, you need to understand another part of the equation, which is the housing. What are the tubes going to be actually sitting in? Well, there are many different types of housing systems made for very different uses. Once you decide on what tubes you want, then you need to decide what kind of housing system works best for you. The most popular and the most affordable and one of the most proven is the venerable PVS-14, which is a monocular night vision system. It has been used for many, many years in many, many conflicts by many, many individuals. Many companies make their own version of the PVS-14. This is the cheapest option as you only need one intensifier tube. And really, in terms of functionality, if you train with it, a PVS-14 is all most really need. The next step up from a monocular and night vision system is going to be binocular housing. Whenever possible, it is almost always going to be better to get into the bino game. There's just way more information you're going to be able to process with your eyes. Basically, you're going to be able to see in the dark more. What sets apart these housing systems mainly are features, and there's many different bino housing systems. The features mainly are going to be things like manual gain, which is how much you can adjust how bright your night vision is, or like articulation, which is whether or not they can be stood away for a more ergonomic experience. This is again a very highly individual decision, and it really comes down to your budget and what you want, as bino housings vary greatly in cost. Okay, now that you understand how night vision works, you're ready to make your first purchase. For good or bad, now there's almost as many vendors out there as there's information about night vision. So there's a lot to kind of go through. I can only recommend some vendors that I've had personal positive experiences with. I would recommend Steel Industries. They have been really good in terms of communication, their warranty is outstanding, and their prices are very affordable. I can also recommend Gooning Gear. This guy, I believe, is a one-man operation. But he will take time out of his day to answer any and all of your questions and get you squared away. In the end, just be sure to do your due diligence and research, and most importantly, make sure that whoever you're buying from has good warranty. So as if night vision wasn't expensive enough, you're gonna need other expensive things. Typically, you're gonna need accessories such as mounts and helmets, which are also very expensive, but that's a topic for another video. If you're going to be using night vision to shoot, you're going to need an IR laser, IR illuminator, You can't get by with just a red dot, and that's called passive aiming, which is a topic for another time. Why night vision is so expensive partially is because it's not designed for what most of us are going to be doing. They're made for war, and the designing and manufacturing testing is all performed not with a single consumer in mind like you and I, but for military contracts. And I think that this is changing now, based on how the night vision world is shifting more towards meeting consumer needs. But still, it's very expensive, and the equipment around it, it can turn into a deep rabbit hole. So I'll save that for another time. In conclusion, night vision is awesome, and I believe to be part of the Second Amendment. That is part of our inalienable right to have the best tools available to us, to empower us to defend ourselves if we so choose. However, like any hobby or interest, it's easy to get caught up in chasing the best thing, the best tubes with the highest specs. And there's nothing wrong with that. But whatever you get, you should probably show them off to others, share them, train hard with them, educate others, create a community of folks to get into the world of night vision. And most importantly, if all you have is a PVS 14, then you can still see in the dark. That's just my 2 cents. If you got questions, drop a comment down below. If I made a mistake, drop a comment down below so I can pin it. Thanks.